Hi, this is Mark Cashman, Senior Product Manager at Microsoft, focused on Microsoft Lists, SharePoint, and all those great things that you can do with collaboration with Microsoft Teams and SharePoint as a content service. Today, I want to take a moment to show you what it's like to bring in an Excel table data and make a new Microsoft list out of it. So I'm going to start here on Lists Home. This shows me all of my favorite lists here at the top and all of the recent lists that I've been active in, whether they're ones that have been shared with me or ones that I created within a SharePoint team site or a team site that's connected to Microsoft Teams, all the same data storage in SharePoint. But I'm going to start here by creating a list from Excel. So we'll click from Excel. We can use one of these templates, of course, to create other types of lists. You can start from an existing list, or of course you can always start the most brave way by starting with a blank list. But we're going to start by bringing in a table of data from Excel. I can choose a file that's already in Microsoft 365, in OneDrive, or in my team storage, but I'm going to go in and upload a file that's on my desktop in Office Supplies. This list is something that I just started in Excel a while ago, and now I want to bring it in and make it more useful for myself and my team so that I can add some visualization to it and add some triggers that will help me identify what I need to do when I need to do it. So it's going to look at the Excel file, pull in all the different tables. There's only one in this one, and it's going to choose as best as it can the different column types. So for the title, I actually want this to be a choice field. For the supplies, the list of supplies, that's also going to be a choice field. The number column got right. It's going to just stay a number. But this one's not just a number, it's date and time. So I want to make sure it gets the formatting of date and time right. So when I click next, it's going to bring in all of that Excel table data as a list after I give it a name. And we'll just do this one as Office Supplies V4. I could describe it. I'm going to make this one a nice dark red, and I will keep it as a clipboard because I'm going to go around and check the office supplies virtually across all the different branch offices. Now, last choice I can do is I can put it into my personal storage under my lists, or I can associate it to a team site or a team that I'm already active in recently, and I can choose to put that essentially into a SharePoint team site that's associated with that team. But for now, I'm going to just put it in as my list and click Create. This is going to import all that information and create a new list in Microsoft Lists. And as you can see, it brought in all of that Excel information, but I want to start to make this list work for me. So we had decided that this supplies would be a choice field, so let's format that. So if we go to format this column, format the choice options, we can actually start to edit the styles. And as you can see, it automatically assigns a different color per different choice. So desks is blue, pens is green, printers yellow, staples are that orange color. And I can go in and change this if I want, but for now it's pretty quick and I like it, so I'll keep that. Click Save. And now we've got some nice formatting for those different things. So now I want to add a rule based on different quantities. So anything across any of these different quantities of supplies, if it's under a certain threshold, that might mean that I need to go and take some action to order more supplies. So when I go to format this column, I'm actually going to add a conditional formatting here and add a rule that says if the quantity is less than or equal to, and I'll just put something like 300. I want that to then visualize in a certain way, and by default it just chooses a background shading, but I want to take it even further, and I want to remove the fill color, and I want to make the font red, bold it, and give me a little call to attention. And I'll take it even further by putting a border on the right side that is the color green. When I click Save, you can start to see that now it's starting to really come alive. The last thing I want to do is I want to do a group by, and I will do a group by supplies so that I can get a better look at where it is that I need certain information or certain things to order. As you can see, I'm pretty low across all the areas for desks, so I want to make sure to get that information out and get that ordered. So if I like this view, now that I've brought in the data from Excel, I've added some visual components to make it a little bit easier to see at a glance. I can actually save this as a view, and I'll just keep it what it was named. And then the last thing is, what if I want to just view per city? So I'm going to do last thing and filter by, and we'll just choose one city, San Francisco. And this is going to essentially create a new view for me, which I'm going to then save as San Francisco, SF. I'll make that a public view. And now anytime I want to see how are supplies looking in San Francisco branch office, I can do that just by clicking that view. Or I can always go back to all items and visualize it across all the different cities that we're tracking and managing. If I have a new city, I can add it in this choice field and I can apply it to any of the different supplies. The last thing that I want to do, besides just realize that I've brought in all the Excel data intact, started to make the list my own, I can do things like share this list out with an individual. So if you know my friend Bill Bear, I'm going to share this out and just tell him I'm doing a demo. And then that will send him a notification and grant him access to what is essentially my list, but now he and I can collaborate on it. So that I can get back to it much easier, I can of course bookmark this URL. I have a standard URL for lists, but I can also favorite it by checking this star. And now that I've chosen it as a favorite, when I go back to my lists home, you'll see here's office supplies with the nice dark red and the clipboard that we chose. Amongst all the other lists that I've favorited, at any time if I'm done, you'll see that I can unfavorite it. It's still down here in a recent list, but if it's something that I don't necessarily work with a lot, it'll start to trend down and start to get out of my view. But of course I can access it at any time, favorite it at any time, and get this nice clear view of all my lists on Lists Home, including one that I've created from Excel in just a couple of clicks, made it my own, shared it, and now it's an active list that's becoming very useful to me. And to take this even further, I want to show you one last thing that's pretty cool. I can now even go back to Excel to do further analysis. So I'm going to click Export to Excel. It's going to open up a simple file that's going to take all of the live data, especially anything that I made a change to, and it's just going to bring it in as raw information. It's a one-way input. It's not that I can go and adjust this and save that back to the list. We want to be clear about that. But I can do things like if I wanted to visualize this column of quantity, which is probably the most important thing to visualize, you can see that it's real information within Excel. I'm going to go back to the list and change one field on the San Francisco printers. So keep that here. San Francisco printers, line 15, this bar, 15. Of course, you can name things and get a lot more creative. But if I go back into my list and change that San Francisco number from San Francisco printers 25, not only will it change the formatting here, so we're going to make this a pretty easy one to see, 325. When I save that back, notice down here what is now red 25, since it's over our 300 threshold, will no longer be red. So it makes it just this 325 with the gray background, San Francisco printers 325. If I go back to our Excel file and I go into the data and click refresh, this is going to pull all the updated information from the list. And again, note here, 25 San Francisco printers. Click refresh all. What was 25 is now 325, and what was a small bar here got a little bit bigger. Certainly you can do any sort of updates in the list collaboratively. Lots of people can make changes, and at any point in time I can then come into this current and keep this Excel file, which will maintain its connection to the list, refresh it at any time, and then further analyze and do what Excel is best at, is to then analyze these numbers and make use of what it is that I'm trying to project or determine based on what it is that I would want to further analyze. So that's a quick tour of what you can do with lists when you have data in Excel. Bring it in as a list, share it, make it your own, and even take it back into Excel for further analysis. Thanks for your time, and I hope you enjoy Microsoft Lists.